Salve, this is RSS, Real Street Stories 11, getting rear-ended. And basically it's like really a demise for me in many ways, so I try to do this as best I can. And if you look, I talk about this a little bit in my PTSD, my Goku Ginyu Change Inspiration Survival Story. And then I talk about it a little bit in Satire, Smoky Days Haze, Stand-Up Set 001, Unhinged. Unhinged, Raw Debut, Lit, Primal Sense, Black Comedy Parody. So anyways, let's just get into it. You can see my stupid channel. But yeah, so basically what happened was, it's 2015, April. A few days before I got rear-ended, it was like 4-6. I went to a hockey game. It was like the last Kings versus Islanders of the Nassau Coliseum, or at least it was supposed to be. So I think I was supposed to go with Aura originally, or Amy Dimon. You could see her, like, I had actually seen her on the news not that long ago. I used to watch Judge Judy, like all the court shows. So it's like, I was watching and all of a sudden I'm like, wow, I know who she is. And basically what happened was like, she like hit 2 or 3 cars. Like first she hit a car, and then she came around and hit the car again. It was like in Rocky Point and stuff. It was like this whole crazy story, and I saw it on the news. And then she tried to flee on foot, and she got like tackled and stuff. I guess that would be a whole nother story. But so basically, she calls me from like the Wacko thing, like, you know, wherever she is, like whatever, like Wacko ward, whatever asylum she was in at the time, wherever they stuck her. I don't know. Somehow she's like talking me into like, I don't know what she said, but somehow she gets me where I'm going to pick her up. And like, she was like borderline schizophrenic, so there was still a chance that she'd, you know, recover. So she comes by like on the dog's birthday, like a few days after the hockey game, in which the Kings won, and Shaw scored like his first goal, and this Kings fan like gave me a high five, so that was actually pretty cool. And then yeah, so basically, you know, so we had the dog's birthday party, and I didn't want to drive the next day. But like, she had to get like apartments, because like she had to live in Suffolk, otherwise she had to go back to the place because she was on probation for that, you know, she basically, not only did she hit the 2 cars, but she drove through the house. So you could actually look that up on the news and stuff. So I didn't want to go out that day, and it's like I'm taking her to look at apartments and shit. So basically, yeah, so I'm taking her to look at the apartments and everything. And it was like Lindenhurst, and I was trying to avoid Lindenhurst because I knew it was like a bad thing. Like, you know, every time I was there, it was almost car accidents. I did some tuxedo shows and stuff like that. So it's like, I'm driving, and I remember I look at her and I ask her, like, are we going the right way? She's looking at her phone, which had like the GPS. And the next thing I know, bam! It's like I was fucking standing still. I get rear-ended by this kid. I think his name's like Christian Magnuson or something like that. But it's like, I couldn't even believe I got hit. So like, I knew I got hit really hard, but like at the same time, I couldn't believe I got hit. And like, basically the way my head went, like my head went, I managed to stop it from hitting the steering wheel, but it's like the back of the seat, like the way the seat hit me in my neck, like I ended up basically breaking my neck. Just give a little bit of a spoiler there. So right there, I know I'm really hurt. I know I'm like in trouble. And I'm thinking of like all the people in the cars and stuff. I'm like, you know what, some of these people, they could have lives, they could have families, they could have children, you know, stuff like that. So I was just like, okay, you know, I don't want to hurt anybody else. And also I'm thinking, if I get hit again, that's probably the end of it for me. So I happen to know where I was, because we're in Lindenhurst, we're right on Sunrise Highway. And I happened to have done like about 13 tuxedo shows for the tuxedo place right there. And there was like a tattoo parlor right there. I think one of them became like a massage parlor, you know, happy endings type of thing. And the kid had hit me coming out of Checkers. And like, I think he was texting. That's what the girl says. The girl I was with thinks that he was texting. So next thing you know what I mean? I pull over, and then I see the kid. He's like walking over to my car. And I think he's got like a bald head, and he's like bleeding. So already I'm thinking, well, that's more than I could probably have done to him even if I wanted to. But I wasn't getting out of the car. I basically called like the ambulance, I called like the police or whatever I had to do. Because when you call an ambulance, just so you know, the police will always come. So basically I do that, and you know, this is basically how I end up becoming like the prisoner of the Horn Helm, you know, if you want to just take a quick look at that. But yeah, so anyways, you know, like, I know I'm hurt really bad, because the second I got hit, like, all my sensation, everything was duller, like, everything in my life, like, it was duller. My sensation was duller. I couldn't really feel anything. The girl, Aura's, like, holding my neck while we're waiting for the, you know, the thing to come, but she actually leaves me at the scene of the accident. So once they get, like, the neck brace on me or whatever, she takes a cab and she basically breaks into my house, literally. Because she's like claiming, oh, you know, she's afraid of the cops or this or that. But obviously she don't care about me. Luckily I had most of my stuff locked up where she probably would have robbed me, because that's just how people are. And there's more to the story that I'll tell in another thing, but I just want to get through the rear ending. So they take me in the ambulance. One of the cops is a real asshole. He's saying they're going to tow my car or this or that if I say another word. Because I'm thinking I got hit so hard, it was like I was standing still. I was going like 50 miles an hour, and then it was like, the kid must have been going at least 80, because I'm in the flow of traffic. I didn't even see him. All of a sudden, you know, I'm looking behind me too. It's not like I'm not looking at my mirrors. And all of a sudden, this BAM! Like I was hit so hard, I wasn't expecting it. It's like when I got punched in the back of the head when I got jumped in one of the RSS stories. And I'm just thinking to myself, like, damn, man, I'm like pretty hurt. I don't think I'm gonna be able to recover from this thing. You know, so the one cop's a real asshole, where even the other cops were looking at him. I thought I was just trying to stay in the game. I'm talking like my King's hat's like my woogie. I'm thinking as long as I have my King's hat, I'm going to be alright. And it was actually this King's hat, the 2012 championship. So I'm thinking as long as I have that, I'm going to be alright. And, you know, so the ambulance comes, and they take me to, like, the nearest hospital. And I remember, like, one of the guys had his birthday. They give me x-rays. They almost dropped me when they're trying to put me on the x-rays. I have the neck brace. I'm just staring at the ceiling. Like, all I could see was the ceiling. I couldn't even move. And, like, all my sensation was duller. I mean, basically it turned out from, like, my neck to the middle of my back, I had no feeling. I couldn't have any sensation of hot, cold, nothing. I have, like, nerve impingement, nerve damage. I'm, like, at risk of being paralyzed and all this other stuff. But we don't even know that yet, so we get to that at another point. But it's like, so I know I'm all screwed up, but they don't really find as much as I think. And then, like, I have to go and go back. And I went to this Dr. Zittner, and Zittner was like a real asshole. I was telling him all these problems I was having. He wouldn't send me for an MRI. And then he tried to send me to this guy Mitgang, because he's trying to say, like, my problems with my hand. And the Mitgang, this guy, could tell it wasn't my hand. So then he starts, like, he's like, yo, you got something really wrong with you. He didn't say it like that. Because I was having, like, spasms, I was getting, like, paralyzed. I was, like, dropping stuff. I'd be, like, making my blender, or the thing in the blender. And, you know what I mean? I'd, like, drop it and stuff. And it was like I couldn't move. I was becoming paralyzed. All the pressure down my right side was so nasty. I could barely. It was like so painful. I'd be waking up. I'd be like nothing but sweat. And that girl didn't care, or Amy Dimon didn't care. She has me driving around right after the accident, still going to apartments. She even had me help her move. She had me like carrying a rug. I'm like a jolt away from being paralyzed. If I just got one jolt, I'd be paralyzed from the neck down. So you know, I mean, it was really at risk. So eventually, this guy put him in, who he turns out to be a real scumbag. He finally sends me for all these MRIs. And then he calls me at 11 at night. He's like, dude, you're like a jolt away from being paralyzed. You got to get a neurosurgeon. You got to have surgery. This is serious. So, you know, I end up needing a C5, C7 neck fusion. So we'll get to that other thing. But I mean, the last thing I wanted was surgery. I just wanted the MRI. I figured I probably had a herniated disc in my neck or back. So I'd like just gotten over like a neck thing just about. I had like a herniated disc, I think, in my neck, and I already had like an L5. So I figured maybe I exasperated something, because I knew something was wrong. I mean, everything was duller. I didn't have the full sensation and stuff. My short-term memory was all screwed up, so I have a really bad concussion. I had post-concussion syndrome. So when the neurologist found out I had a concussion, diagnosed concussion, the guy Zittner still wouldn't send me for the MRIs and stuff. And here it is showing that I got a concussion, a serious concussion. So yeah, getting the rear-ended, it just really ruined my life. Then the insurance, I got screwed on the insurance. One policy would have given me $250,000, but since I was driving my own car, they wouldn't give me anything. And this kid was just white trash, fucking, so he had like no money, you know what I mean? So I couldn't get money from him. The lawyer screwed me over. Hyman, never hire Hyman. I think, yeah, Joe Highland, Highland, some shit like that. He was a real scumbag. He lied, he winked, he stole like $10,000. So I only ended up getting $25,000 for my insurance on that. So you know what? Make sure you have some insurance. If you're driving, make sure you have like $250,000 to $500,000 some insurance. Because if that would have happened, my whole life would have been better. So we'll get to the surgery and other stuff another time. But yeah, you know, if you ever feel like you don't have a good thing about driving, don't drive. If you feel don't drive that day, don't drive that day. Never help anyone either. Because anytime you help someone, the no good deed goes unpunished. So it getting rear-ended really ruined my life. And now it's like 2021, and it's like nothing has been good since then. So yeah, this is RSS 11, getting rear-ended, and hopefully you never do.